Well, hello, Patriots. Capt Kyle here, and welcome to the end game. And this is a very special day. Happy birthday to our president, Donald J. Trump. And we have Robert Kraft, and we have our wonderful everything girl, Kelly. So she just does it all. So I don't
That's
even know
about
what
it.
I don't
Hey
even know what to call her.
everyone.
She just does it all.
The
She's not
the
a girl Friday.
utilitarian.
She's not a
Yep.
girl Friday. She's a girl every day. So that's just the way it is. Um, and so we have a lot to talk about, and I mean a lot. And let me first start with we're going to open in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Lord, I just thank you for all you're doing. Lord, just continually pour out your discernment and your blessings upon each and every one of us that we can see those things in which you're doing for us. The things that are seen and unseen, Father, we just thank you. We give you gratitude, and we're of a grateful heart of all things. Lord, we just ask that you continually watch out and protect over our leaders, President Trump, his family, our military, and all that they're doing, those things that are happening behind the scenes to perform your will. Father, we just thank you. We ask for a hedge of protection around all the events that are going on tonight, all of the people that are there and celebrating our country. And Lord, we just thank you. We just can't thank you enough for allowing us to participate in your great plan for humanity. Thank you and thank you. Lord, we just thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 All right. So, just to give a little bit of history, I've been on in a bit. I did one little truck talk, but you know, I Robert and I were supposed to have a talk some time ago, and I ended up in the hospital. And in that hospital visit, another one of these crazy things happened. I go in after being just profusely sick and throwing up for like 3.5 days nonstop. And finally, I start throwing up black stuff. So I'll go into the emergency room. They start doing tests. They're like, "Oh, you had some basically food poisoning." I'm like, "No, I ain't eaten in 12 hours before this actually started happening. No, this ain't food poisoning, it's something else." So basically, they keep doing their MRIs, test everything. Finally, they come back and said, "Oh, no, you don't have food poisoning. You actually have a pinch and a kink in your small intestines, and it is actually severe. So nothing's going through." And I'm like, "Oh my God, really?" And they're like, "Yeah." So they got a surgeon involved immediately because normally this is how that is fixed. Um, they don't know how it happened. And after about 24 hours of us doing some remedy stuff for it, it straightened itself out. And to this day, they don't know what caused it, how it was caused, or how it actually fixed itself. But I do. And I am here today because we serve a God that is greater than this world. And if you believe that, then anything is possible. And I didn't buy into it, never did from the very beginning. And you can ask Kelly, you can ask my wife Renee, that I was refusing this from the very start. That surgeon was like, from the very beginning, she was over the whole thing. I'm like, "You are not cutting on this body. You ain't touching it. Ain't happening. We ain't going there. Nothing." So anyway, this is why we had been on. And so I'm back, and everything is wonderful. I am completely good. And with that, Robert had a lot to talk to us about before that. But before we talk about that, a lot's going on tonight. Tonight is a disclosure night, it's an announcement night. A lot of things are happening that are being represented in this event that's going on. But also, we just got news that here, let me put this up real quick. I want to just put it up on the screen real quick. Like, entire screen, here we go. Share, don't need audio. So there we go. So let me read this. Following intensive talks, we are pleased to announce the peace deal between the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran has been reached. Both sides have declared immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon. The official signing ceremony will be on Friday, the 19th in June in Switzerland. We'd like to thank the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran for committing to finding a diplomatic solution to the conflict. We'd also like to extend our sincere appreciation to our brothers in this mediation effort with great leadership, the state of Qatar, for their support in reaching this agreement. I would also like to especially thank the visionary leadership of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Republic of Turkey, for their intense contributions in this regard. With this agreement, now in peace, mediators will facilitate a series of meetings this week. These pre implementation discussions will lay the foundation for the technical talks and the official signing ceremony. So, with that, this is a great day, people, because this actually brings us into the final phase. The final phase is the people. The people now can take back their country. You'll see when it gets called, they will come out into the streets. And when they do, the United States and Israel will be their overwatch. So you just bet your sweet butt that this is all going to happen this very way, because we are entering in a today is the day. Actually, 1 year from the flag ceremony a year ago, before the military, before downtown, when the ceremony was passed the flag over to the president of the republic, and that year has passed. Robert, what say you, buddy?
Well, it's interesting you say a year when we were talking about when our original assembly was given to the federal government. We had to let it season for a year
That's right.
before we could step forward to create the irrevocable trust, and we had to wait for objections, and it was a season. You had to go through the seasons, and that's why one of the reasons we set that anchor. We've been able to move forward. So a year, that full cycle is significant for seasoning, for vetting, and allowing that to take root. So yeah, yeah, I agree. I think
It's
that
amazing, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I
Absolutely.
think there's a
And
lot more going on than just that, but I
oh,
think
absolutely.
I
Absolutely. Because
yeah,
today, between today and the 24th, is a 10-day period when a lot of shit's going to be happening. And I mean a lot. Because now it can actually all move forward. Tonight is the
yeah,
buy in. Just bet your sweet ass that this is what this is about. It's the buy in for the public, for the Republic, that there's a new guard and a new way of doing things. So, um,
yeah.
you've got your part in what you've been doing. And I think it's really interesting because I want to do this as well. I talked to you about it earlier today about myself and getting these things actually pushed forward. Talk to me about what you're actually doing right now, Robert.
So so this part, right? We've been people have to understand we've been building to this part, right? We started out in the capacity we had, and we grew, and then we grew, and we put in infrastructure, and we grew, and we got more, we got funding, and then once we got funding apparatuses, we grew again, and we were able to put shares out there, we were able to get donations, and we grew again, and then we were able to put vaults in, and we grew again. So this is the next phase where now our organization can touch individuals. um, we have the model, we have the process set in Florida. I already did it. So I already did it. It took me about 4 days to get it all stripped down to where I knew exactly what to do, exactly how to do it. And boom, boom, boom. As soon as I did it and I had it right, I went in. I got my documents. I had already set up a UPS box with the court orders and everything to make sure it was right. And then I went in to the clerk of court, handled my paperwork, went down to the DMV. I had my documents with me. I handed it to him, and it was like, bing, no questions asked, no nothing. And they put the UPS box on my driver's license. They verified that it's protected. The next thing that I'll do is I'll take those documents with my ID to the actual court, and I will have anything with my name or anything with my address or anything shut shut off at the court level, and the court will shut it off. It will not even be visible. So there is a way to do it. Your private information is protected. We know Florida how Florida does it. We just cracked Michigan a couple hours ago, so they're up there right now going through the statutes, trying to put it together. Uh, we have figured out part of Texas, but we don't have the personal information blockage part yet. But it's going to be coming quick, and this changes the whole game. We're now able to put officers and agents out in out what we'll term as outposts, where they'll be able to help people get their paperwork done, get their driver's license transferred, get them either into their own UPS box or put them into a outpost group at a post office where all of their official business, their address is going to that, but it's actually secured and protected. So it's big. This is big. Like, this is a big thing. We finally got to. We can help actual individuals where they are.
So,
So
so let me ask you: do you think? Because I have my own opinions about this, and I want to hear what you think about it. But um, what do you feel that this does towards separating yourself from the potential straw man and that part of the corporate construct?
well, it's interesting that the term you're using, separating yourself, because that's exactly what the terminology is a personal information blockage. And the paperwork even refers to you're an individual. And we've had the conversation about persons and individuals a long time ago about they are very one's a citizen, one's a legal entity, and it's in the Constitution. You have to become a citizen, and you have to operate in the Constitution. You have to be a citizen and a person, but it's a citizen and a person, two separate things. When you're born into the public, you are not divided. You are one. You have to become one upon land and one upon the water. You have to separate them. Your public personas from your individual identity.
Yeah, and so that construct was corrupted and brought us into the two part, but it put one basically lost at sea and never to be found, and the other basically operating as the straw man. And
Default
yes,
is really the right word.
exactly.
Default.
And so this, and this is why I think it's important, and this is what I think people should understand, is that this has been being facilitated above and now below, and these are going to come together. And this is what I've been talking about for some time now, is that the closer these get to being able to be merged, they can just run. And so it's about the facilitating the start. And this is what's happening. It's starting on an individual level. And as it begins on this individual level, then we can say that there are entities that are much larger and more facilitating that can take this construct and just mass facilitate it. And this is what has to happen though, because where it can be for everyone and everybody gets their separation like they're supposed to and become something that was intended to begin with, but it couldn't happen until it actually gets started. And this is what it's happening where we've been told so many times things have to happen on the grassroots level. We have to operate within that means. Why? Because it has to first start being facilitated from us, from the bottom, so that it can be merged. And this is what's
Yep.
happening.
Yep.
I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely incredible because I see what's going on above, and then I watch and see what you're doing below, and I see how they're beginning to almost
Merge.
coming.
They're starting to come to
Yeah, they're
bridge.
going to
They're
come in.
bridging. They're bridging
Yes.
together. Yep. So
And
and essentially
a
what we're
year
doing
ago,
is
we
we're
didn't know
taking. Go ahead. Sorry.
a year ago we didn't know how this was going to happen. When I first started talking to you, I was telling you these things were happening on this level, and you were telling me what you were doing on this level. We had no idea how these things were going to ever come together.
No, we had to just keep working because we couldn't see it yet. Now, now, like it's almost becoming blatant, like obvious. So it's but here's the other for me, I have to think about, listen, I've been putting vaults in, like we've been getting people signed up. We got officers and they're handling tribunal. I've been all week, I've been collecting land documents out here down here in Florida at the holding company, because we've got people transferring land into the trust. So the holding company. So I've been having to pick up mail repeatedly all week and put it into the deposit, and for people who have transferred their land. And I don't know how many we have now. I want to say we're coming close to 10, 8 or 10. I think we're going to
So
be at really quickly.
so what I want to talk to you about is so that people don't get this misunderstood. Okay, Kelly and I had this conversation about what a trust is and who's actually part of that trust. If I put something into a trust, how does that trust work that it can't be taken away from me, whatever? Because how does a trust actually operate? And what happens if you die? Does the trust just die with you? I mean, I know these things. I want you to answer it for.
So the way that our trust works, you have to have active consent. Okay. The way that you get active consent through us is you have to pay your annual dues. So what happens is, if you're a dues paying member, it's a private organization. If as long as you pay your annual dues, whatever's in our trust or whatever's been put into our stewardship will stay in there. The moment that you do not pay your dues or you decide to leave, but if the dues, so if you die and you don't pay your dues, we have to discharge all of your holdings. So if you're dead,
So would you say that
then
the
and we
organization is
keep
basically the executor of the trust?
we are yes, we are acting as the administrator of the
And so that your
trust.
dues are your administrative fees for the executor, for your trust, because you're the beneficiary
Right,
of the trust, right?
right.
That's
So
how trust
yes,
works, people.
and then you act to benefit as beneficiary, and then the trustee, depending on what it is, goes to either um your well, in some, it depends. In some case, if they have a tribunal in place where they are, if we put in a vault and they have that 3-person tribunal, then that tribunal becomes the administrator and we become the trustee. Okay. If they don't, we have to do it a little bit different. So it depends on how it's done, on how it's set up. But really, what we're trying to do is get that tribunal level at that local community assembly level to act as administrator. And then we are holding the trustee position. And then the member is the beneficiary.
So, can you define what a beneficiary is?
Well, a beneficiary would be an individual that reaps the rewards of whatever the holding or asset is, but retains none of the responsibility of its guardianship or protection.
So, that's why most people, myself included, actually have done trust to protect your assets because if someone comes after you personally, I can say I don't own anything because I don't. I'm just a beneficiary of all the stuff that I actually get to use every day because it's actually mine. I just don't actually own it, but I do own it. But it's just a big ass legal thing. That's a something that I learned a long time ago by Donald J. Trump, actually, and how to put property and land and everything into a trust to where if you sue me, you get $1. Ha, $1. That's it. Have
Or the
fun.
Amish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the Amish are masters at this. That's how they've got it set up.
yes, and actually, a lot of the land trusts initially were out of Utah and places like that because they were so protected that you couldn't pierce those corporate trusts at all. I just want people to understand that it's not that you're donating money or you're getting your stuff and you're putting it in there and then you could lose it. This is not what we're talking about. It's not like that. This is how trusts operate. Most people never operate within a trust asset basis because they usually don't have the assets to actually facilitate actually having trust. And
Right.
so this is usually what rich people do. This is what wealthy people do to protect their assets and that they never get to lose them. And then
Well,
actually,
this is what the church was built for. So
yes,
people could
well,
come
yes.
together
And
and do it
so,
at the church.
like, if my wife is, she's like the number two beneficiary, right? And so if I die, then my wife automatically moves to number one beneficiary, has access to everything as if nothing happened, right? No death
Right.
benefit, no death, none of that crap, right? None of it happens because it just changed beneficiaries. Well, if both of us die, normally that's when your estate taxes and all that kind of stuff actually kick in because both parents had died, right? Well, guess what? My kids automatically become 50% first beneficiaries at that point, and there is no state taxes. There's no nothing. It goes straight to them. So everything just transfers beneficiaries from me to my wife and then my kids. And they're not a part of it unless I die or me and my wife die. So if me and my wife were to die at the same time, then they both automatically become 50% number one beneficiaries. So it's 50-50 for the both of them. They don't even know it. They don't even know
Right.
it.
Right.
And they're not going to know
So
it until I'm gone. That's just the way it is on purpose.
right.
So,
And people have to understand everything is a trust.
yes,
And you don't want to be the owner. You want to enjoy the benefit of.
that's correct.
That's the
As
problem.
if you are, because you're actually the owner, but you're not really. But you are, because you get everything that you're on in the within the trust. It's all yours, but you're not getting the legal responsibility of someone being able to come after it because it's
Right.
the way it's set up as a beneficiary. You can't sue
Right.
somebody for a benefit,
Right. So
and
yeah, I mean that's how they work, and it's taken a long time. We've been working on this for 6 years. We saw this coming 6 years ago, and started preparing 6 years ago for this moment where we've hit, and we were 6 years ahead, but we were not prepared to understand how the system works inherently, and that's where it took time to build in this and get this stuff expanded. But it's the trusts are just one thing for the land and the firearms and the tactical equipment to go into an armory where it can't be seized, it can't be taken because it's held by the community as Second Amendment arms, and there's an armorer who's a veteran and stuff like that. Someone asked me about vehicles. They're like, "Oh, does this mean we can put vehicles in?" I'm like, "No, you have to put a sub vault in. You have to build out that vault. You have to make it. You have to call it something like Motor T, like on the base Motor T, right? So you go to Motor T, and then it's Motor T LLC, and you got to build it all in, and then you got to take the vehicles, and you got to put all the vehicles in Motor T, in the Motor T LLC of Charlotte County, or for Charlotte County, and then you got to turn around and put all those vehicles into a fleet. Now they're fleet vehicles. Now they're private. Now you can get in your vehicle and drive your private vehicle that's assigned to you because they're all held in a sub trust called Motor T for Charlotte County. There you go. Now it's private. And that's
yes,
how this stuff's supposed to work.
yes, and you can do that. You can do that also if you just had like a land trust or something like that I initially did because you can put everything in it within it. You can actually put
You
your vehicles.
could,
You can do everything. You can put your bank
you
accounts in.
could. The problem is if you don't designate an alternate court, you still default to the civil court. You have to have
Yeah,
another
no, yeah, I get
court
it.
to
Yes,
identify, and that's what happened to us. We're now registered and recorded with the Inter-American Court of Human Rights at the Organization of American States. We have the capacity to petition, so we are designating the alternate court outside of civil and federal law and U.S. code. So
Yeah,
if you don't
this is what
designate
I
the
was
alternate
meaning
court,
is that you could do that because that's all that was available to you per se at the time for those protections. And
right,
these other means basically hadn't been established yet or even back operating.
right, right.
So
So us
this is
getting petitioning capacity at the Inter American Court of Human Rights at OAS is a huge, huge thing because now we have a replacement court that's a higher court for the civil court.
because that's where, you know, civil and equity and all that stuff wasn't operating that we talked about before, right?
Right, right.
It was all actually operating under a commercial
A foreign federal
merchant
railroad. It
court.
was a railroad. It's a railroad company. It's a railroad
Yeah,
company.
yeah. Basically, it's
Revenue.
just
It's
a
like a
merchant
revenue
court.
court. It's just a
Yeah,
revenue court. A
yeah.
foreign revenue court.
So
Indian revenue court.
this is why it's all been important that we've gone through these steps piece by piece by piece over the time, and that I can tell you right now from what we've gone through and what we've learned over the last couple of years has been exponentially incredible, but also it's been a direction of steps because moving forward actually opened up and showed us the ways many, many times that we had no idea where we were really going. Things happened and the light
Most
got
still don't.
shined on certain places because, from where we were or what we talked about from the beginnings to now is almost
Night and day.
180 degrees.
Yeah. Night and day. Yeah.
But it's
Yep.
like all of those things were being facilitated, and this is what I really want people to understand was being facilitated behind the scenes by other entities that were pushing, opening, and shining lights where there was none before. This is what was really important, um, because there was a lot of moving forward where there was just blinders on, didn't have a clue. But we had to keep going forward. You kept having to do things, and it was like, oh, nope, that's not it. But this is right here, though, right? This is what we're supposed
Right.
to be doing. But you didn't know because those steps were being ordered, and you had no idea that they were being ordered because they were being stepped out. And that's what's incredible to watch this journey from where we started to where we're at today. And, a lot of people don't understand. That's why it's so important that I think that we kind of step back a little bit and try to explain some of these things because a lot of people don't understand how these things operate. And we didn't understand a lot of them either in the beginning, but I do understand like trust and things like that and other parts of it because that's how everything was established from the very beginning. And we got away from it because those were made possible for the wealthy and the few, and everybody else got stuck into just surviving. And they had no idea how to obtain wealth or how to hold on to wealth. This is something that a lot of very wealthy families teach their families just second nature how to do these things. And I've seen it firsthand from how they actually just network with each other. It's absolutely crazy. It's like, I was telling Kelly the story one time about my wife's uncle's really, really wealthy. He lives in North Carolina and stuff, and he lives in Charlotte. And there in Charlotte, out on Lake Norman, is where all the race teams and all the NASCAR teams and all the really wealthy people are, right? And they're out there. We're out there at the golf course and stuff like that in the clubhouse and everything. And Joe Gibbs comes in, and all these guys are coming in, and it's like they're just all sitting around the table, shooting crap on, hey, your kid just got out of school. Why don't you send them over and I'll see what I can do to take care of them and what are they going to do? And it's just like they're all just like taking care of each other.
Right.
It's how they operate. It's like, oh, you need somebody to do. Oh, yeah, I got somebody for that. Just give my secretary a call on Monday morning. And it's just like the network that they have established because of the way that they operate is in those one-on-one meetings that they have in their social environment, and it's all about
The
what they
room
can
where it
do for each
happens.
other. It's not
It's the
about
room where
what
it
you know, it's
happens.
about what who you know and how you can
Well, and
help them.
that's why with all these groups that are like, we're the real this and we're this and the ignorance of isolation. I guess nobody studied Einstein where isolated systems degrade over time.
Yeah.
It's not about that. Like you are screwing yourself by trying to play that game when you should be out facilitating alliances with other groups, other communities, building, but you're not building. You're being corralled into your little box, and you don't have a network. You don't have any outside influence. You don't have anything because the people that are running those things, number one, they're not producing anything. They haven't produced anything. Some have been at this for 30 years because they can't get past themselves wanting to be worshipped like
Yeah.
some kind of leader, like king or god, and they want to be in charge and they want to rule and they want this and they want that, and they're going to tell their flock what they're going to do and who, and they've gone as far. I've been told, literally, that I've been called the one who cannot be named, like I'm Lord Voldemort or something. If you're that much of a coward and a loser that's what you're afraid of, that's pathetic. And anybody that listens to you is headed down a bad road because never follow cowards into battle.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's like I just saw how it operates firsthand and being in conjunction with these individuals, right? People that most
Yeah.
people are just in awe to be around, right? And they're just like slap assing and no big deal. And it's like, where's our next event going to be and who's going to be there and how can we get things? It's just like they
Yeah.
operate in a totally different
I used to be a
manner.
part of all that. The whole Chamber of Commerce, all the events, all the social events, all the out of town events, going
Yeah.
here, going there. I was in that whole thing when I was a part of the community, and my ex-wife was a real estate agent and we were involved in all that stuff, and I was a part of all that. I hung around with those people. I saw how they networked, how they worked together. I literally was in the inn, and
Yeah. And
then
it's different
and
from being in the, like in the clubhouse where
right.
that's a private place where nobody
Yep.
gets to be and hanging
Yep.
out in that kind of situation versus like out in public, and that's a totally they have their public face on, all that, it's all fake and shit, right? But you see
Yeah.
them when
I
they're
I
in
mean, I even
their
got approached by
private.
the teachers union to run for Florida House of Congress at one point, and they were
Yeah.
trying to, and I was like, you guys understand, I'm the guy that gets shot in the back of the head because I'm just not going to tolerate things. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea for me to try and do this. I won't take long for me to piss somebody off. So I never did it, but that was the road that I was offered, but it was not. It just
Okay.
wasn't going to happen.
All right, so what did we talk about a while ago when we saw the white smoke coming out of the house? That
Oh,
traditionally means, and I'm about
the
to
the,
throw something on the screen here. It's gonna it's Trump at his Trumpiest. So um, I'm telling you, he
So
he's a master.
entertaining.
Oh, he is a master. You're gonna love this. So it normally means that there's been a peace deal, but what also does it mean? The selection of a new pope, right? We talked about this potentially over the republic, and that you have to have one for the land and blah blah blah, right? Well,
yep.
look at this. Here, let me share my old screen again with you guys. The deal with the
That's
Islamic
just
Republic of
funny.
Iran is now complete. Congratulations to all. I hereby fully authorize the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz and the simultaneously herewith authorize the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade ships of the world. Start your engines. Let the oil flow. President Donald J. Trump. And he's
Peace. Peace
Blessed
the
in
be
world.
the peacemaker.
with the doves and the whole.
The white hat outfit. Excuse me.
He's
That's
got
just
the white
great.
outfit. I mean, the white tie, the shirt. He's got
Everything is white.
he's got the doves coming out of his pockets.
Hey, and he's on the South Lawn.
That's right. So I just thought that was just it's
Poetic.
symbolic to
Poetic.
what we were talking about with the
Yeah.
white smoke, but also the spiritual aspect of the change. I use that word very carefully, spiritual aspect versus religious aspect, because those are two totally different things, right?
Yes, they are.
Because that is a spiritual move versus a religious move, because that is where we're headed. This is what we're talking about. And I don't want people to confuse the two by no means. So where do you see us going from here? Because I do know that President Trump is off to the G7 tomorrow. I think that is going to be a notification event. People are talking, oh, it's a policy thing. Yeah, it's a policy thing. The
It's always a
policy on here,
policy thing.
this is how you are going to accept the new policies that are coming down
Uh-huh.
your throat, whether you like it or not.
Well,
Um,
the G7, I believe, is that continental? 7 continents? Or is it the 7
it's
seas?
it's not the seven continents, the seven largest economies in the world, G7
So it's the 7
versus the
seas.
G20.
So it's commercial, which would mean
Yes,
that the strait opening would
that is
cause an
correct.
event for the G7
That
that
is
they would have
correct.
to renegotiate the trade lines. The trade lines would have to be readjusted based on the new platform, whatever it's set at. So interesting. Don't forget tonight's event, in my opinion, is the return of the U.S. military to the White House,
Yes, that's why they're
and the
all there on
military
the
and the
lawn,
White House, being designated a military installation officially.
representing every branch.
Yes, and the First Infantry Division, the big red one, that's Washington's infantry returning to the White House.
So
So
before this took
that's a
place,
big
we
thing.
talked about this last year at the Super Bowl when
The Marines
the
took the
military
field.
took the field.
Right.
That was the first time that had been portrayed in that manner, and
Yep.
that the um, military was actually being represented by the the military district of Columbia.
Of Washington. Military District of
Specifically,
Washington.
yes, how it was said, not the District of Columbia. It was the
Right.
district of the military district of Washington, and this was
Correct.
very significant. Then we had the presentation of the military before Donald Trump and Melania, and the flag ceremony that was delivered from the what are the special um, skydivers? They're called
Oh, the Golden Eagle, the Golden Knights. Army
yes, the
Golden
Golden
Knights.
Knights actually delivered that flag to him and her specifically in that position when they were actually standing on this day 1 year ago, Flag Day as well, and that also it's the 14th, and that we had the swearing in of the military at that same very time. Now we've set with a season, which was 1 year to today, for that actual presentation to actually happen. And here we are operating on a public event of the changing of the guard and how it is going to be operated. And the public's buy in and their approval is what we're going to witness tonight.
That's
So,
correct.
under the old order
Because as
of
long
the
as
maritime,
the Roman mob doesn't object, you can go
right,
forward.
and they're using their rules to beat them at the new game. And this is incredible.
Yes.
It really is. And so the next
Yeah.
10 days, do not be surprised if all hell does not break out in arrests and also public unrest that's being created by facilitating chaos to try to re-establish some sense of control. Because what's happening tonight, they're going to have a hard time putting back in the box.
Swallowing. Oh,
Yeah,
this is over. Listen,
yeah.
there is a 1st Infantry Division monument directly behind the executive building. There used to be a rose garden that was red that was directly behind the executive building. So, based on that monument, based on that rose garden being gone, and now this military event, everything points to the White House is going to be a military installation, a base. No
Oh, yeah,
longer
Well,
under
Robert.
federal
I'm
jurisdiction.
glad you brought
No
that
longer
up.
under Congress.
It's under the
yes,
ballroom, right?
The
yes,
ballroom. So the ballroom, and I've said this from the beginning. I've said they have to fix the East Wing, and the reason it's so big is because the Army must be able to have formation outside of the purview of the public. So the ballroom size is based on that unit that a military unit that's stationed there, that's assigned there. They're stationed, being able to formation. It has to be big enough for them to go to formation and form up. But they are the ground security, ground defense on the White House military installation now. Not the Secret Service, not private security.
So, do you know what all's down there? You want me to tell you a little bit about what's down there?
Oh,
So,
go ahead.
so
There will be an armory
not,
down there under Amendment
oh
2.
yeah, there's an armory, all right. But not only is there an armory, but there's a full medical suite, and I'm not talking about a normal medical suite. We're talking about a advanced medical suite that you would see on Star Trek.
I wouldn't doubt that.
Not only do they have those capabilities there, but there's also jump rooms. And if you don't know what a jump room is, maybe you should look it up. Um, they also had those kind of on Star Trek where it's say, beam me up, Scotty. Um, there's technology that's being facilitated underneath that facilities that there is no other place on the earth that could facilitate all of the things in which that property will be containing. Just put it that way.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I think people need to get context of the change, this significant change that we're talking about. If anybody's seen the movie Olympus Has Fallen, the whole movie is based on the premise that it takes the Army so long to get to the White House to defend it. And they could not get on the White House because they could not override Posse Comitatus, which caused a political situation, right? That was the whole
Yes.
thing. Well, now the 1st Infantry Division is going to be stationed and reside at the White House with the Marine Corps detachment
Yes,
together.
underground.
So there is no, whatever they said, 12 minutes takes 13 minutes. Well, there is no 12, 13 minutes. They are there. So
It
that
takes them
event
as
in that
long as it
movie
takes to
will
get.
never happen.
It takes them as long as it takes to get from downstairs to upstairs.
That's correct. That's correct. And that's the difference politically and national defense wise of having posse comitatus in place and Congress and the federal government running our military domestically versus our military operating in its proper capacity domestically for the defense of our nation. That's the difference.
So I want people to understand that the posse comitatus was not about protecting you from the military operating on this shore.
No, it wasn't.
It was about keeping the military from being able to go after Congress.
Yep. And their
That's the whole
NGOs.
purpose, was to
And their
protect them
NGOs.
from the military.
Yeah, it would seem so, huh? That was
That's
very
exactly
convenient.
what it was for.
Hmm.
It
That's
had
all it was.
nothing to do with you.
It had absolutely nothing. So everybody that talks about, the military can't operate on the U.S. soil and it's posse comitatus and they can't do that and so on and so forth. This is how the corrupt Congress and the corrupt leadership actually protected themselves from ever dealing with the military coming to take them out.
Yep. And this is how they dealt with, this is how they protected themselves from the human trafficking. This is how they protected themselves from the imposed slavery. This is how they protected themselves from private individuals being called employees, fired on a whim with no rights, no protections, the fraud, waste, abuse, corruption. They protected all that through posse comitatus and no mechanism of superior force that could come down upon their asses. And that is
Until
what's getting
now, baby.
replaced.
Till now. They got a
Till
rude
now.
ass awakening.
And
Yes.
we're about to unleash a beast upon them.
So I just want you guys to understand back in 2021, 2022, basically when you saw those buses coming in and out of the Congress, when it was fenced off and the military was there, that was your Congress that had already been arrested, dealt with, and portrayed back and forth from their secret locations. So they've already had the thumb up the ass for a long time. This all had to play out, though. It all had to play
Well,
out.
it did because if you think about it, even and we've talked about this, when we came to the realization, there's nothing here. There is no domestic defense trust or operating system. There is no platform. There's no mechanism, a law mechanism to actually facilitate the operation. They need something. They need it. They need a trust to operate off of. There's
Yes.
nothing here.
The thing with that, though, what happened, Robert, is you're fully aware of the Brunson case, right?
Yeah.
To Supreme Court. That was decided a long time ago on a closed docket. And the Supreme Court does not have to present a closed docket to the public. All it has to do is notify the marshals. And that's what happened.
Right. But the Supreme Court is not the authority on North American continental territorial things.
No, I get that, but I'm saying for Congress to be taken down and arrested back then for what they did in their treasonous act in 2020, that's what it was about. That's what that was all for. And most of the individuals, what people don't even know, they never even did their swear-ins.
Right, because they were foreign operatives.
And that's what people have no clue to just how corrupt it is. But there's a couple of us back, I guess it was in, what was it, 22, I think, Kelly, that I think it was me and uh, what, I can't, I
Explain what
just,
happened. Maybe I can.
well, we were on our show talking about the Brunson case, and that we both said that it was already dealt, it was over with. They'd
Hmm.
already decided it.
Right.
Um, uh, golly.
Was that the day the Q drops came in
Yes, and
with
me, we were on
SG?
the channel. It was
Yeah,
me and what's his
SG,
name?
SG,
Huh? Yes,
SG.
SG. Yes, it was me and SG and stuff. And we were talking about it. We had a freaking drop happen that confirmed exactly what the hell we were talking about, Robert,
That's
while we were in the fucking
crazy.
show.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
And it was the
It's
last drop
it's
too. Last drops we got.
Yes, but I mean, this was confirming what we were talking about
Hmm.
specifically, that Congress basically had been taken out by the Brunson case. That all got, it's actually was done, and that it's just been being strung along until the right time for the public, because everything had to, um, it had to go through the rest of these stages, the rest of the things that had to take place. Couldn't put that cart before the horse, right? Because other things were not done or accomplished. It's like, you know, um, Judge Ginsburg, when that was announced on the last part of Trump's presidency, right? She'd been dead for 2 fucking years.
that
2 years.
I don't doubt that.
I
Listen,
actually had
one
pictures
thing
of
that
where
people
she was being rolled. I kid you not. It was a freaking face, model face and shoulders with a body that came down to about right here. And then the rest of it was like one of those rolling around freaking, you know, uh, model things that you have for, like, dresses and stuff that they put on, that's just got the wheels and the legs on the bottom of it and stuff, and it looks like a dress but it ain't no dress on it, right? And from the tits up it looked like Ginsburg, but from the rest of the way down it was just this freaking fake roll around chair, like that, like a freaking dress. And
right, but
they were
people have to
rolling her
understand.
through. They were
People have to
rolling her through the
understand.
airport.
Even if you come to a situation where you can do it, it still has to have an action of movement, a motion to get it done.
Oh, I
So
agree.
just because you can do it doesn't mean the action took place. Okay? And that goes with, that's like I said, we were talking earlier about the trust. And I said, even if you have your trust, even if you put it in, if you don't have the capacity to switch courts to a different court that's in a higher authority, a higher jurisdiction, you're still stuck in that judicial system. You have not replaced the court. You have to replace it. It cannot go vacant.
No, I
And
agree
that's
100%. And I understand exactly what you're talking about. I was just making reference that a lot of these things that we talked about back then that the court was actually doing was not necessarily establishing, um, new precedents and new laws. They were just writing, they were more, record keeping
right. But
until
they
things
were
were put
opening
into the
they
right
were
place.
opening the doors, but they're still not allowed to operate outside of their capacity.
Agreed, 100%. Agreed.
So that's like our situation where we put in the paperwork, we got our command order, and that command order went to the United States Supreme Court, and then we got our registration at the Inter-American Court. But it went to the United States Supreme Court, and then it went to OAS, and the Secretary General for the Inter-American Court of Human Rights recorded it, registered it, and then sent it back as official business, telling us you now have the capacity to petition. Not only are we accepting you, but the United States Supreme Court, who also received these documents, has facilitated that transition. You guys are out. You're over here now. Right?
Yes.
You got to have some place to go.
Yes.
The station, when you leave the station, you got to have a destination.
No, I get it.
Until you have a destination.
And this is what we are trying to stress, and this is why I'm bringing up these different things, right? Because even though things are appearing one way, doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly how they are. By no means.
Right.
And that's what I continually want to stress to people until this is why it's been so important for this time period to go through the way that it has, so that jurisdictions could be reestablished, and doors that were closed that were never open back up, reestablished, grounds be reestablished, a foothold back into a sovereign district that didn't exist for 120 years. So
right.
these are important things that had to be reestablished no matter what. And to put the cart before the horse would have basically just delayed things even more, and it would have made more confusion. It's kind of like where you just say, okay, none of these laws matter anymore because they were all basically fake and gay, because they were. But what are going to replace them? Oh, we're just going to.
That's the problem.
You're just going to do whatever the hell you want. That's just like the financial system, right? The financial system had to be backstopped with another system completely in place operating before you take out the one we all fucking hate.
That's exactly right. And let's go back to our side with these assemblies, these trusts. And I've told people, like, you have to start building a database. You have to start building a database for call to action. You have to start reviewing your ordinances. Because you have to put the action in motion, but you need the political authority to make the change. It's not just at move your land. You have to start building the infrastructure to be able to replace what is there or take it down because it doesn't apply. If you don't start doing that work, it ain't going to happen. What's there will stay there. That's how it works.
Yes. And so
and we're having a hard time. We're having a hard time getting people to get through their head. There is still the political call to action side, right, for referendums to be able to replace or dismantle or modify all of this stuff, these commissioners and councils and village councils and all this stuff that's put in. Like, you got it. Like, that stuff still has to be put together. It's not going to happen until you put it together. But I want
people to understand, though, that the groundwork in which you're doing, which is very important, right? And the people that have gotten involved up to this point. But there will come a day when it's going to open up and become much easier for everyone to start to participate in something that they have no idea that's even fucking going on. I mean, we're talking about a 0.5% of the 1% of the people that know anything.
I agree with that. I'm not arguing that.
There will come a time that's going to actually become a public thing, people knowledge and public. And this is where I said it's going to be really important for those. You remember when we talked about when they took down USAID, and what was that other, the peace?
The Institute of Peace?
Yes, was facilitated just like you guys were, but in a totally different manner, right?
Right.
And that organization could be being established for this very thing on a mass scale once the time and the door actually opens up for that to actually take place. Remember when we talked about that?
Yeah, I agree with that, but we also have to remember we can't sit back and count waiting for
No,
that
and
to
I'm
happen.
not.
We don't
Yeah,
know when
yeah,
that's
I
going to
agree,
happen. So
100%.
we have to approach it as it's our job, it's our work. We have to do it, and we got to put our boots in action and start getting to work. There
No,
is
I
work
agree
to
with
be
that.
done.
No, I agree with that. That's why we do our shows. That's why you do what you do. That's why we're trying to make people aware of it, and so on and so forth, right? But
Yeah.
until it becomes something that is known, and I mean known, how many people, if you walk outside and just walk up to somebody and ask them, are going to know anything about what we're talking about? Nobody. Zero. And
More now than 6 years ago.
well, yes, but I'm just talking out on the street. I'm
But
not talking about in the computer. Just go to your local
well,
store and ask them. Anybody.
oh,
Walk into
listen.
Walmart and ask people. And I'm going to tell
We
you, you're
walk
going to have
among the
a
dead,
0 out
bro.
of 0 knowing what we're actually specifically talking about. You're going to get
We
a
walk
0
among
out
the
of 0.
dead.
And so, but this is something that we're ahead of the game in that aspect, but we had to be specifically because it's the same thing where you've got the people that till the ground and then you got the people that tend the ground afterwards. We've been tilling the fucking ground, and the tilling of the ground is always the hardest. The people that
Yeah,
reap the benefits are the ones that get to tend the ground afterwards. It's just the way it always is. So
that's true.
just understand that that's where we're at. We're the tillers, not the tenders. That's coming. And when that happens, then it becomes known and everybody knows what's going on. That's not what we're
Pretty
talking about.
much.
We're
So,
tilling the ground to make the way to start with. And
so
this is
guys,
very
a lot of people in the comments are asking about, the whole setup for this evening, the seating, the military, and can you guys go over what you've been watching in the last week or so with all the setup, everything you've been seeing and learning about this evening's event, and kind of give us a simple breakdown of any significance of things that you are witnessing?
so
Um, Go ahead. Go ahead.
so what Kelly sent you, I'd also seen it. That was that write up about basically what this all represented and so
Yeah,
on and
it's a
so
really
forth.
good 7-part thread. I posted it last week. I can repost it. I sent
Yes,
it to
please do
Captain.
because
Yeah,
I told
Yeah, it was
Kelly
good. It was
and
good.
I told Kelly that in my opinion was probably 90% correct. Not every bit of
Yeah,
it, but I would say
yeah. There
90%.
were a couple of things I was like,
That's
uh,
exactly why I say 90. I
and,
said 85 to start with,
yeah,
and I said no,
yeah.
probably 90. But that's still only questionable on those couple of little things, even right? It's like, because
Well,
we
just
just
because
don't
a
know.
part of it's wrong doesn't mean the whole thing's wrong.
Oh, absolutely, because 85 to 90% of it is spot the fuck on, and I can
Right,
guarantee that.
right. And it's
So,
and yeah, it was mostly right. There's still some convolution. I know there's a part in there about getting out of Admiralty, and I'm like, we're not even in Admiralty. We don't even have an Admiralty court, and Admiralty is in Article 3. So you're not getting rid of Admiralty because it's in Article 3. So
so they're
but
confusing admiralty with maritime
they're
and how
confusing
that operates,
Admiralty with foreign revenue,
which is commerce, basically.
which is savage law, survival of the fittest, savage law.
Yes, but that also
The
falls
savages
salvage law
in the
falls under
Declaration.
maritime jurisdiction. So
No, it's actually less than maritime because there's no commercial relationship. It is literally predatory law,
and
predator
I
and
actually
prey.
know how that actually operates because I did actually do that for a while where we actually did go out and salvage shit. And once you take
Right,
possession of something, people try to say, "Oh no, that's mine." Oh no, as soon as I took my fucking line and put on it, it became mine.
right. As soon as I
everything that has
assumed
to
the
do.
greatest power of force over the individual that was in possession, and I assume that authority by legal or physical or
Force.
intellectual force, I have exercised profiteering under savage law, which is salvage law,
Yep.
in the survival of the fittest.
So I actually
So
had.
that is not maritime law. That is
So I
that
actually
is
had
that
a
is wildland law.
guy that actually called the Coast Guard and had the Coast Guard come out, and he was drowned, right? Buried. He took his 42-foot freaking sailboat and buried it. It took me almost freaking 36 hours to get it off of it and get it re-writ, right? And back on water. And at that point, he didn't want to pay. I said, well, I'm just taking it. He called the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard said for him to get off his ship, and it's mine.
Right. Right.
They
So this is
deboarded
the
it.
whole thing about like police departments. They pull you over and you're carrying more than $10,000, and they say, "Oh, that's drugs." They take it. They just take it, right? They can't
And you got
prove
to fight to
anything,
get it back.
and then they seize your car. They seize this. They seize that, all on accusation of bullshit affidavit with some loser attorney that certifies it. That's savage law.
Yeah.
So, y'all, I wanted to read to you something from one of our admins. She said, recently, one of my best friends who spent years working in the court system was having a conversation with an attorney here in Delaware about a court matter. And the attorney said to her, before long, more and more attorneys are going to be practicing constitutional law. I had been telling her for years now about how the courts were going to change. She was so happy to share this with me. It is absolutely happening, and we aren't the only ones talking about it. So, this was an actual attorney that had said this in a random conversation.
So do you remember, Kelly, when I told you that I one of my attorneys that works for me is a federal attorney that I've had on retainer for about 18 years that does work for me, that had been actively working for me, just disappeared on me for like 2 months. I couldn't get a
He went
hold
to
of him.
retraining. He went
He
to
was.
reprogramming.
He was actually going through. He was. And so I remember when I told you this, Kelly, and I told him, I said, listen, you know what I do, and you know what I know, and I know that you can't say what you're doing, but if I'm not barking up the right tree, then just stop me. And I started telling him about that he had to go through to be basically recertified in constitutional law, and that he had to get his stuff recertified because he works federal, right? He's a federal attorney, and basically he never stopped me. And I said, okay, well, it's a great conversation I had talking to you and stuff. We'll talk to you soon, and I'll get back with you on my case in a couple days. And he's like, okay, good to talk to you. He didn't say a fucking word. Remember when I told you
Right.
that, Kelly?
Yeah, I remember
Right.
that.
And I truly believe that they are selecting certain attorneys who have a track record and may and of better than others, um that are going to be able to continue the practice, and the other
And this is
ones,
a
they're
specific
going to be
kind of
food
federal
for the
law.
reckoning.
So what he did was federal bankruptcies and trial lawyer, and you going after corporations, things like that, right? That's what he
He
did.
probably is not going to have any issues
No, he doesn't.
recertifying.
That's what I'm saying. That's what he
Right.
did for me, right? Because I've been going after these people for years, right? And he worked for me. I mean, shit, I bought him a Porsche or two. Um, the thing with that is that when he disappeared on me, I was pissed, right? I'm paying you and you don't even call me back. And he's like, couldn't. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you couldn't? He's like, I couldn't. And
Yep.
then that's when it led me down the road to start to ask him the questions that if I say something and I'm wrong, just answer me. And it's just, but if I'm barking in the right direction, just let me keep going. He never stopped me. And so that point, I'm like, okay, well, it's good talking to you. He didn't say a fucking word. And I'm like, cool, great. Have a nice day. We'll talk to you in the next day or two.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
guys, let's get back to the fight. About the military being there in the 4,300 seats and majority of them being given to military. We know that every branch is being represented, right? And they had to
Yep.
be in a certain physical fit form, pass those tests. So, what do you think is the reasoning for that?
Commander in Chief, United President of the United States of America, Article 2, Commander in Chief's return.
And have to
And
present the
and
body of the military
in
as,
active operation domestically within the United States on the United States of America for the United States of America.
Wait, say that again, Robert.
It's the article. It's the return of the Article 2. The okay. So the way Article 2 is written, it says the President of the United States of America and Commander in Chief, when called into service. This is the calling of that position into a fully operational, active commander in chief position for the U.S. military. Not the Air Force, not the Space Force, not the Marine Corps, not the Army, not the Navy, the U.S. military as a grand military
Hmm.
on the grounds of the White
on
House
the White House grounds
and being
on the South
presented
Lawn.
as a um,
Unified force.
yes, and unified under the military code of their fitness and their military training qualification and their background being presented to the commander in chief. And you can't be um, you can't have a failing grade physically and be presented in that capacity to the commander in chief in that aspect.
Not only that, the what are they going to watch? The Ultimate Fighting Championship. The pinnacle of the gladiator games on the White House grounds. The Battle of the Gladiators and the
Yeah.
return of the Guardians.
Yes, and that's key, that word, the return of the Guardians. The Guardians of the Republic.
So,
That's
what
right.
would be the purpose for doing this evening?
Ceremonial. It's specifically process to facilitate that action. It has to be done.
As part of
Everything is
No,
as
ceremonial.
part
no
of getting
different.
back to the
No different
Republic?
than
Or,
the. No different than the Marines taking the field in New Orleans.
It's
It is a.
symbolic
It
and
is a
it's,
symbolic process that has to be done in formality
yep,
to move forward.
to
yes.
move forward. Once you get through that gate, now the new roads begin, the new branches begin, because the event
Everything
has happened.
starts after today. That's why I said the next 10 days between now and the 24th, which is the rally that ends all rallies, is going to be absolutely crazy.
We work off cause and effect. If this, then this. If this, then we can move forward.
Okay, so
Remember,
somebody's
everything was event
asking,
based.
so all military forces are one military. There will be no distinction in the branches.
That's not you're trying to
You, you're
take
overthinking it.
That
the idea of a unified command system and say that Aristotle, the whole is greater than its many parts. Those parts are no different than the tires on a vehicle, the rims, the engine, the air conditioner, the alternator system. Those parts of the military are those systems that do their job, but they are the whole. When they're put together,
Is
they
the
are
military.
the whole that is greater than its parts.
Okay, so that answered that question. Good.
So you know that they're getting rid of Northcom, Southcom, and it's going to be one, right?
I'm not sure about that. I don't
Yeah,
think
they
that's going to
actually just
happen.
talked about it. They're actually
I think that
eliminating
Northcom and
American
Southcom.
Com. I can't remember
I
what they're
believe
going to call it, Robert, but it's
I
just
believe
one.
that Northcom and Southcom will establish a pinnacle. So Northcom here, Southcom here, 1 foot upon the land, 1 foot upon the water, and they will create a new peak to step up into so that
Yeah,
they
it's a
can
unified
grandly
com.
unite.
It
But
will
I
be
don't believe
all
they're
under
getting
one.
rid of those.
Yeah, it's all going to be one. It's all going to be under one unified command. All of it.
I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think that
They
those will
just called
stay
for it
there.
though. They just actually said they're
I'm
going to
not
eliminate.
saying that. Did they call for the dissolution and dissolving of Northcom and Southcom?
Something I don't
Or did
remember
they say
exactly
that
how it was.
Northcom and
I don't
Southcom
remember how it
would
was
be
presented,
unified?
but it's going to actually, it's all going to come under a single command. However,
Unified command structure.
yes, where it's got one for one for the other. They're separate, blah blah blah. But they're
Right.
also doing the same thing over in the Middle East, where it's like where you have, like you got CENTCOM and Africon and Eurocon, and all those are about to do that the same thing, where it's all going to go under one centralized command, where it's going to be one, and you'll have the authority over all of them. And instead of being all broken up.
They're supposed to be broken up. They operate in different articles. That's why Congress only has to provide for the Navy. It doesn't provide for anything else. It was purposely set up that way.
I'm just telling you what they're about to do. How they do it, how they pull it out their ass, I don't know. I'm just
We
telling you what.
actually had one grand whatever when Congress was in charge, and they basically put the Marine Corps and the Army and the Air Force and everything else under their bullshit. That's what we had. We just got rid of that.
Well, no, I don't mean it. I don't mean it like that. I don't think it's not going to go like that though. Not where they have the control over what, because they're all a bunch of fucking criminals. That's all getting pulled away from them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a single unified command structure over each one of those areas.
Right, but unified. So in the unified command structure, you have the command staff, which is your public information officer, your liaison, and your I'm trying to think of there's a third one. I can't remember. But then you have your division, your branch divisions, that is operations, planning, logistics, and finance.
So this is
So
when I
in that
wish that
unified
I had
command structure, a public information officer is the last one.
so this is
So
when I actually really wish that we had like Major Freddie on here, because he's a fucking genius at this stuff. He really is. He knows about all this stuff inside and out, like there's nobody's business. Um, and that's this is the kind of time when we talk about stuff like this, because it's not my forte. It just isn't. I'm not gonna act like it is, but it is his. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's the kind of thing that I like, having him being able to talk to you, because he knows it so well. 40 years of being at that kind of
yeah, I was
implementation.
I was the training officer in Camp Fallujah for the civilian fire department that worked in coincide, and we ran the actual incident command system at Camp Fallujah with the Marine Corps. So I was the training officer for that when I was in Iraq. This is stuff that this is why emergency incident management has to go under this. I used to teach this stuff. This is the stuff I did. So unified command structure has the 4 branches plus your command staff with the 3 command staff divisions, and then you build it out from there. But that command staff still has separate branches when it comes off the command staff.
No,
So that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
I get.
They're not going to get rid of it.
No,
It's
that's
going
not
to
what I mean
step
by that. I just mean that it's
right,
going to
right,
simplify that process.
All right,
right.
guys,
They're gonna
we're running low on time here, and I'd like to get some
okay.
questions in,
Well,
okay?
come on
Go
then.
go.
All right, so we've got somebody from Australia, Ian, that says, "Good day from Australia. Yesterday, Kelly posted the following, and I posted the two trains, the big boy 4014, the locomotives that are going through the United States across country. Do you know about them, Robert?
I know about them,
Okay,
and
so
obviously
he's
it's probably
asking,
symbolic.
and I'm wondering if Robert sees any significance of the two historic trains making their way across the continental United States in light of his findings in relationship to the research he's done on the railroads and the jurisdictional significance this may have for the restoration of the constitutional republic.
So I was sent an article that had talked about the Union Pacific and the Norfolk Southern merger. So that is probably going to coincide with these trains making their symbolic travel, that they are putting together the East and West, and probably putting together readjoining the passenger freight system that we have, that really is what Congress convoluted and screwed up in our system. So most people don't know that if you want to go to Texas from Florida, you have to take the 40 Floridian to Washington, and then take it to Chicago, and then get on the Texas Eagle, and you have to go from Chicago down to San Antonio. So most people don't know
No,
you
it's
cannot
screwed up,
go.
isn't it?
Yes, it's because of the jurisdictional divisions that were put in place by Congress, and these traveling trains are there to reconnect those divisions that Congress put in to basically mark up the price on shipping and freight and all this other stuff that they
Yeah,
did
it's
on
messed up
purpose.
because I actually wanted to do like do a couple of those trips where you go from one side of the country to the other, and then go up to Alaska and all this other kind of stuff. Man, it's a
Yeah.
pain in the ass,
Yes, I know.
and it
I've
should
spent a
not
lot
be,
of time on those
but it
trips.
is. And even like just going from like up the East Coast from Florida up to like Boston is
Okay,
Yep.
it's
guys,
not
next
what it should
question.
be. It's not what it should be.
Here's the
What?
next question from Debbie T. She says, I have a question, maybe you know or can get Captain's take on it. What is the significance of Trump putting his name on the Kennedy Center, and why are the Dems allowed to happily remove it now? Will it stay removed?
No, it will not stay removed.
Was there
This is
any
I,
significance of him putting his name on it originally?
well, yeah, because now there are documents in that archive that have that name on it. Just because his name's not on the outside of the building does not mean whatever system is operating inside the building doesn't
has
actually say Trump Kennedy.
Oh,
because it
interesting.
still is Trump Kennedy as the building.
Hmm. So it's kind
All
of
they
just
got,
a
all
big
it was
show for the
done,
Democrats.
all they did was the visual from the appearance from the outside, and that's when we say you can't always believe what you see because what you see is not always what is. That's what they're showing you is they're showing you one thing, but something else is completely happening internally. That is not what it appears. 100%.
Okay, here's a question about the license. I would like to know how having a private driver's license changes in individuals' daily living. Will any experience change regarding how police deal with the private individuals? Does having a private driver's license change any other area of an individual's life, put them in common law jurisdiction overall? or only in the case they are driving?
Number one, it's not a private driver's license. Number two, common law is community law above religious law. Okay, it's individual rights law. So these are two completely different things when you're dealing with the state of versus religious law. Okay, so that's wrong. The what this does is it removes your or blocks your personal information. Okay, it restricts it from anybody being allowed to access it. And by changing your address to a private, restricted mailbox, you are now removing all the advertisements and all the stuff that they're not allowed to send mail to, selling off your private information, your information being public, and stuff like that is what that does. So how it'll affect it? Well, probably it'll affect your spam calls when your information gets sold because they're not allowed to sell your information anymore. Okay. And all the junk mail that you get, they're not allowed to find all that stuff. And it's restricting your personal information. Okay. And it moves you into the closer to the traveler status versus the general public, which is where everyone that's singing the I'm a sovereign citizen, blah, 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 have been told to tell people you don't have to tell people you're private. You don't have to tell people that your personal information is restricted. You hand them your ID, and the state tells them what's restricted.
And what about the commercial truck drivers? Someone's asking.
That's a totally different thing. That's commercial.
Well, that is commercial, but in essence, you'll still have your commercial license.
Yeah, you gotta, yes, anybody that operates with the public in a capacity like that will still have to have a commercial license no matter what. That will never
Correct.
change.
Okay, let's see. Somebody's asking, there's groups forming all over under the name of the New Republic of USA org. Does Robert work with them?
Nope.
No, because that's a fraud.
Are
Not,
these
wait
people
a
that
minute.
are
Wait.
electing themselves?
Wait. I don't want to say it's a fraud because I don't know it's a fraud. But you have to be very careful about any organization that is operating as the Republic of the United States. Just plain and simple. What does it do and what is it being founded on and how is it operating? So I don't know, but I can tell you that I would be very cautious about any organization that is out there in that manner. Just like we've had them in the state of Texas and other places where they were basically operating like they were the new government. They were electing new officials, and that's all bullshit. It doesn't work
It's all
like
bullshit. That's right.
Yeah,
so.
because
If you're
you
Very
can't
careful.
elect yourself. We, the people, elect our leaders. They don't elect themselves.
we don't elect them. We designate them, and we send forth delegates. Elections are actually a commercial term. We sent
Well, they
forth
cannot
delegates,
elect themselves or put themselves in those places or
right? And
install themselves.
there's a whole gamut of things that we had to cover, starting with the actual living trust and what its capacities were, and then getting ground rights, and then getting our own separate financial apparatuses, and being able to originate security instruments, and being registered with Treasury, and becoming members of the International Bar Association, which is what got us to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, which that has happened. Now we're registered and recorded. We have an alternate court that's in a higher capacity than the federal court or the state court or the civil court. Okay, so there's a lot that goes into this. I can tell you We have not found one other organization that has all of these pieces and parts put together and set up to be able to actually operate. I don't care what they say. If they want to have a public debate about it, if they want to send forth their best, they can send them forth. I'm sure the captain will be happy to moderate that public debate, and I can chew them up and spit them out because they don't have it. They're singing bullshit. They're lying, or they're too dumb to know how wrong they are. That's the truth. We don't know anybody else that has put all this together. We definitely don't know anybody that has has been approved by the Treasury Department to originate North American security instruments and has their own private funding apparatus. We know nobody has that.
Okay, here's a comment that it might be helpful to people. He said, Ronnie says, I'm a member of Legal Shield. They do a will for you for free and review it every year. They can also review a trust for you. So if you decide to do a trust, this Legal Shield reviews it for you. So I just wanted to read that comment.
Sure. And then your trust and your legal shield go into your local civil court so that civil judge can take and steal and rape and pillage whatever they want. Good job. It's great. Stay there.
Well, how would people get their trust reviewed? How would you suggest that
If
being
you if
done?
you have a trust and you're reviewing a trust, you are operating under the current civil system with the attorneys and their civil judges and their federal system. All those trusts that have been established, if they are not set up properly, they are defaulting into that system, and those attorneys and those judges can come in and take whatever they want. It's savage law. Take whoever's got the highest level of force, takes what they want. That's how they're set up.
Yeah, I mean, even Captain was talking about these trusts a long time ago that once we switch into or phase into the constitutional law, the quantum language, a lot of this, what we're talking about, really won't make sense. Is that right, Captain?
Yes, and just like what we were talking about earlier, you are stuck within a system that is available. That's what we were stuck with. Now that you have the opportunity to be able to not be stuck within that civil court system because it's now been opened up to a different jurisdiction, now you have a different place for that to actually reside. Totally different fucking ballgame. But until that actually happened, all you could do was operate within the playing field that was there to play in.
Correct.
Okay,
And
now
and
another.
are we're the only ones we know that are actually authorized to operate in North America, not within the old system. We
All
don't
right,
know of anybody else.
Debbie Lou says a friend of mine is in the process of becoming an American sovereign. About a 7 month tedious process. Is this necessary when we're all going to be sovereign soon? Thank you all
We're,
for what you do.
number one, we're not all going to be sovereign. There are people that will be left behind. And number two, that's that whatever that thing is, that is that is a very dangerous path to follow.
Because you can
Oh,
actually
becoming
put
the
yourself,
national, yeah.
you can put yourself out of a country and out of any jurisdiction, period.
That's exactly right. And you could actually abandon whatever holdings or assets are actually already in your name that you can't get to, which means you will have to start again and work another 20 years before you could actually reacquire that.
That
Yes,
is
I
why,
remember that
Kelly,
Those
I
people
fight.
that
said,
those people that are selling
don't
that American
do it.
sovereign bullshit, that is bullshit. The only Americans are military veterans. Period. They're the only ones that can claim the Declaration of Independence. Period.
That's why I told you and I told people, don't do it. Wait until this is all over with. And then the directional path will be available for whoever and whatever because it will be now established correctly. Because you can actually get yourself put out there on an island and you are countryless and basically you're on your own.
You're like Tom
No,
Hanks at the
no
terminal.
identity of nothing.
No country, no nation, no nothing.
And that's a scary fucking place to be. Seriously. Because this is what you're doing is you're establishing yourself as a um, uh,
A
foreign
separate,
nationalist.
independent,
Yes,
legal
within the
entity with
country
no
that
connection
you're
to anything.
facilitating yourself in. And then when that actually goes, and who are you going to be associate? Who are you going to be um, representing as who you are being established from to have that diplomatic status? Zero.
And what gave
Nothing.
you the right to even believe that you've achieved some level of that diplomatic status? Where did you get that qualification from? That's not how the system works at all.
Okay, here's another question. Do you think the uranium dust has already been collected by our military during the
Yep.
ceasefire?
Yep. Delta's already got it.
I'm going to go with him. I don't know.
Yeah, Delta actually already took it.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you how they did. They did. They already formulated a plan, went in, got it. This has just been a part of the. So you remember what I said the other day that basically this was all agreed upon a long time ago about how and how long this was going to take, what was going to actually happen, and how we're going to blow up a bunch of shit and we're going to make a whole scene out of it just because they need to. Remember when I said that? Well, also was determined on how and when Delta was going to do what they needed to do to actually recover everything that they needed to recover. Just like where we actually, when we went in and rescued our pilot and all that stuff. And, oh, we found out. Oh, we actually had an airstrip that they actually made inside the country of Iraq, and I mean Iran, and was landing freaking big ass cargo planes and shit in.
Okay,
So you know
Robert.
how much you know about what's really going on over there?
I
Zippo.
don't.
No, I'm just saying
Yeah, I don't know.
Zippo. You
I'm
don't.
trying to get work done here.
No, I'm just saying, as in a whole, you don't know what they're really doing over there and what they've actually done because there's been no leaks at all. It's just like how are they facilitating, keeping the oil prices down and all that other stuff? They had 100 freaking ships going in and out of the freaking Strait of Hormuz when Trump was saying it's open, and they're saying no, it's closed, and we had actually brought 200 million barrels of oil through there through the last month. And he let the
So,
cat out of the bag the other day saying, well, yeah, our military has been escorting them in and out. And who actually had been saying that had actually been happening? So
well,
you don't know unless you get told what's actually going on over there. And, our media is really reliable at not giving us any information that's worth a shit.
I'm going to
Period.
give you an example of that real quick. So in 2005, I was stationed at Fallujah, and I want to say it was in the summer, and a set of mortars had hit the chow area, or the food area, at Camp Liberty down in Baghdad,
Oh, I
right?
remember
They
that.
they hit like the Burger King and whatever, the
Yeah, blew that
Cinnabon and
shit
stuff
all
that
up.
was there,
Yeah.
right? And I think they even hit the bazaar, which was the tent where all the where the PX was. right?
Yes. Yeah, it
Okay.
did actually. I think it hit
So
the corner of it.
we watched that video. We watched that video in the summer of 2005. I came back in December of 2005, and that video was published on the news after I was already back in Florida, and they were announcing that Camp Liberty had been hit and the mortars and blah. It was the same video from 6 months earlier. So that's how detached the public is. I watched that video 6 months earlier in Camp Fallujah. I saw that video 6 months later in Florida.
Like it
And they
just
were saying
happened.
they were acting like it just happened.
Yep.
Same
Yeah,
video. The
I've told
exact same
Kelly
video.
that before with several things that it happened like 6 months to a year earlier and it already
Right.
happened. But
Right.
it hadn't happened in the public realm yet because they haven't let it out yet. And how they
Because
let
they
it out
don't
is how they're
because
going to control the narrative.
they don't owe anything to the public. The public
No.
is the mob that murdered Jesus.
Yes. They tell the narrative when they're ready to tell the narrative on their terms.
That's correct.
Period. And they don't ask for your
Period.
permission. And they're not ever
Period. You
going.
don't even have a right to have an opinion.
So, all right, Kelly, let's do one more. We got 13 minutes.
Okay, 1 second. I've got to hold on.
You're wasting time now.
I know. I just wanted to check to see if they had started coverage yet. I'm sorry.
No, they haven't.
Alrighty.
I got it up right in front of me.
Let's see. Where do you get common law trust since all attorneys aren't operating in common law?
There is no common law.
There isn't
We don't
now.
have that infrastructure yet. Common law is above religious law or canon law, and we don't have any religious courts, which is why we cannot prosecute oaths of office, because oaths of office are religious and can only be prosecuted in a religious court. Common law is above that. There is no common law. We're
This is
still
what has to
trying to
be
get the
established that we're working on.
infrastructure for local assemblies to at least get organized. There is no common law. Doesn't exist.
Yeah, guys, like all we're doing is like you're helping Robert and his organization try to set up and organize
The infrastructure
the
for that.
infrastructure. Yeah,
For that. But we're not even close to that.
so don't worry about it.
Exactly,
But get
because
to
This
work.
is really
it can
just
all happen
Get to work.
educational. Now,
it can
Robert,
happen
you mentioned,
relatively soon.
I'm sorry, you
Just-
mentioned you were going to start having like educational classes, correct?
Yeah, and we have them. We've had two already. They're on Thursdays. They're at 6. We are going to move them to 7.
All right, so that's through your website, they can get
But
that.
it's every other Thursday, and they're by subscription, so we can make sure we're in the right jurisdiction. They're $10 a month, and we do it every other Thursday. And we just had one last Thursday, and they're really to start getting people familiar with the language. And like a lot of those people that were there, they knew that this whole driver's license change stuff was coming because I was in the middle of it. So they were aware of that on Thursday before it actually had taken place, and they knew that was the path we were headed down. But really, it's to get people comfortable with operating with on our trust, and starting to be comfortable with putting together and organizing their communities where they are to start getting some of this infrastructure done so we can put it in so eventually we can get to common law.
Okay. Well, I think that about wraps it up. So, if y'all want to learn more, you can. I post it
You
Um,
can DM Kelly, and she will sit down and talk to you about it all as long as you
no,
want.
no, I will not. I do not. I am not qualified for that. That's way above my pay grade. But we have Robert's website. And if you want to take part in those classes, like he said, they're every other Thursday. You can get the information on his website. You can go to his Telegram channel, have discussions there. But,
Are
you
they
know,
recorded, Robert?
They are recorded right now. We don't have the website completely integrated yet. So what we're doing is we are sending out the recorded, and we built a database. So like everybody that has a subscription today received an email today with both sessions on that email that they can go back and have those recordings.
So being on the email list gets you a part of that until it's all the infrastructure's kind of completed and that's being a work in progress, right?
Right.
Construct.
What we intend to do is based on the what'll happen is on our website you'll actually have a dashboard you'll be able to log into, and that'll be part of the of what's inside your dashboard when you can actually come into the website. If you're a subscriber, that'll be in there, and you'll be able to review those, and they'll pile up.
All right. Well, great discussion as always. And if you're confused, then
You're
we
probably
did our
moving in the
job.
right direction.
Yeah, we did our job.
join the
If you're
club.
confused, you're probably moving in the right direction because it's going to take a
Absolutely.
while.
Because it's causing you to think outside of the box and start to research some of the things we're talking about. That's what's
Correct.
important. So if you already knew it, then you didn't need our help to start with.
That's right.
But not many people know because they wouldn't
And
be
if
in
you're
the position that they're in today if they did know that. So
And if you're
um,
already a proud sovereign citizen, you already know everything anyway, so you don't need us.
that's right. And you could be out there on an island all by yourself one day soon.
Waiting for the first savage of force to come along and educate you on what sovereign means in their eyes.
Exactly. That means the one with the biggest tools.
Mechanism of force wins.
Exactly. And I have some pretty good ones. See that one up there? That's just one I show. Oh, look. I
So
have another
one more
one.
thing that's happened, because after we talked about the subscriptions, starting to get emails. If you are emailing me, you need to email me from the email that you used to subscribe. If you do not email me from the email you used to subscribe, we cannot verify that you are the one who actually subscribed. And we will send you the links because people are saying I didn't get it. I literally put every single subscriber and sent it out and made sure every subscriber received that email today. So if you didn't get it, are you on the right email or did you not subscribe?
All right,
All right,
Robert.
All
y'all.
right.
Been great. Enjoyed it very much. Kelly,
Let's
enjoyed
get
it.
it on.
That's right. Off
Yes.
to the fights. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen over the next 7 days.
Yeah, keep your eyes open, everybody. And everybody's asking, kind of where to watch it. Unfortunately, you have to sign up for DirecTV. They might have a free trial and go to Paramount, but also, and
Oh, it's on Paramount?
I'm not suggesting this, but a lot of people on YouTube will probably be streaming it. So you just got to track it down.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Enjoy the
Paramount
fights.
Plus, do a free subscription.
You can even buy 1 month of $8.99 and then
And then
cancel
cancel.
it.
Yeah.
It's
So, all right, people. Love you. I'm out of here.
love
Robert,
y'all. Good
Kelly,
night. Thank you, Robert.
Take care,
bye.
everybody. Bye. Take
Bye.
care, guys.